You are now listening to the podcast for geeks and the stuff they love, where each week we'll talk about everything from anime to movies, games, and prop collecting with the people who create and love it. I'm Jeromy.
I'm Vinz.
I'm James.
And this is your Geek Fix.
You know, I had a friend recently request for me to help them to print off some things for their boyfriend, because they themselves aren't much of a geek, but their boyfriend is, and he was looking for some Warhammer stuff, the manuals to be printed out and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. Like, so I guess if that's one way, if you're on to hook up with someone, apparently Warhammer manuals are the way to go.
It's the way to go.
Yeah.
Chef's
kiss.
I've never done Warhammer, but I'm extremely interested by it.
Yeah. What's the basic cost, do you think, of kind of introductory cost of getting into some of these games?
Starter sets are like €120 most often.
Yeah.
But then you need the paint and all that kind of stuff. But it's pretty good. I have some Warhammer stuff as well.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, 40K. So I have a whole set of Space Wolves. And the thing about Warhammer is that they're pretty strict. I think they changed it, but they used to say it's what you see is what you get. So if you had like a mini figure of a Space Marine with a chainsaw, that would be their weapon of choice. So you could not say, oh, well, now he's holding a gun. No, he has a chainsaw.
Right. It's physically stuck to his hands.
Yeah.
So the way around it is to drill tiny holes in there and attach those arms with magnets so you can swap them out, which is what I did.
Stick it on. Yeah, that's a totally good idea.
That's called cheating.
I watched the guy that showed how to make, as far as Dungeons and Dragons, getting everything you need to play a game from the Dollar Tree. And he goes through and he makes the characters and everything else that you can use, and then basically what would be the equivalent of a board, and then even the way to block off for the dungeon master to be able to block the view of everything they're reading, things like that. The dice, even the dice, he shows how to make the dice and things. I mean, I think there's ways, if you want to really cheaply do it, but to really look like you're invested in, like, something, and actually be able to participate with people who care, there's an investment for sure kind of going into it, but at the same time,
the thing about Dungeons & Dragons is it's pretty low key. You can start off like with what they call theater of the mind and not have anything on the table apart from your sheets. And now with the apps that they have, you could just use your phone and basically all the math.
A lot of people I know are using the app right now. That's true.
The last one I did was using an app on a laptop, specifically because somebody else was remote, so that the way that they could show where all the characters are in a specific scene was using that.
We tend, during COVID, with my group, we did a lot of remote Dungeons & Dragons campaigns via the screen where the tokens and the maps and everything would be digital on the map, and we would just go on a Discord server and chat while stuff happened. Yeah, that works really well with the digital stuff. But the tabletop wise, you can have a 3D printer and get the biggest tabletop dungeons ever.
You can make all the parts and everything else. Or if you got a lot of money, you can buy the stuff being made by Weta Workshop right now and have that shipped in.
Oh yeah,
they have a really nice set, but I don't know. Yeah, tell me a little bit about it, because both of you have been telling me about, you've been able to play some games recently and been able to do some group stuff and things. James, you actually brought up even this topic a little bit. Like what are some of the things that you guys played recently?
I brought this up specifically because, like, 2 or 3 days ago, celebrating the Three Kings here in Spain. So we have Christmas, and then we have New Year, and then we have the Three Kings. Traditionally, it was just the Three Kings and New Year, but because Christmas is another reason for kids to get toys, then obviously that was very interesting.
Santa Claus comes from Spain, by the way. So did you know that? Yeah, takes a boat.
I've also heard that he was originally green and changed color because of Coca-Cola.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think that's debunked, but I don't know. That's at least what I've heard.
Well, it was a bishop from Greece/Turkey, depending on which time frame you're looking at. But because back in the day, Spain was considered really far away, The whole lore in the Netherlands was that they came from Spain because that's really, really, really far away.
Yeah.
So it was like
Makes it
here
more
be dragons
fantastic.
kind of stuff. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's funny. So what did you do for the Three Kings?
So we decided to play Cards Against Humanity, first of all, and Cards Against Humanity, for those who haven't played it, is basically just a card game where you have both black cards and white cards. The black cards are typically prompts, so you either have phrases which have blanks in there, and then you use the white cards which have either words or phrases that you have to fill in. So
Do you have some of these on you?
no, specifically this one I don't. I have the other ones that I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
But
That's okay.
Cards Against Humanity I don't. But a prompt could be something as stupid as I got home from I don't know, I got home from work and found my husband doing blank, and then the white card could be, I don't know,
Just home automation.
yeah, home automation.
There you go.
or RC controlling the dog, or
That's right. Yeah.
and so we played around with that for a while, just
good
because
stuff.
I personally find it very, very interesting and extremely fun. I've taken it to well, I haven't taken it. I played it in Austria the last time that I was there with friends, and then seeing as my girlfriend's sister has the game, then we played it there. The other game that we were playing is Munchkin. So
Oh yeah.
I have never seen
and if
that.
anyone hasn't played, no,
Never seen it. No. Tell me about this game.
so Munchkin is
Just to describe also for the people that can't see things.
Yeah.
Hold that up again so I can kind of describe it a little bit. You got on the front cover, we've got like a little guy that looks like a kind of got a Viking thing going on with a chainsaw, tennis shoes, a sword, and a giant like hammer going on. And it says, kill the monsters, steal the treasure, stab your buddy. Is that what it says?
Yep.
yeah.
Is it by Steve Jackson?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So Munchkin is extremely fun, depending on the way that you play it. So you typically play with a group of friends or not, depending on what you want. And the general idea is that you are in a dungeon. And specifically with this version, I don't have it, but there are other versions that have the actual mat, or like the dungeon map, where you can have physical characters. And the idea is that at the beginning of your turn, you are always in the dungeon, and that you have a door in front of you, and you have to kick down the door. So as soon as you kick down the door, your player goes through, and you have to take one of the cards that has a door printed on the back of it. So one of these.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And this is just to symbolize that you're actually kicking through the door. And depending on what you can find on the other side, you may find monsters.
The dread gazebo, nice.
That's
the
funny.
gazebo.
Yeah, this has a picture of a gazebo that he's in front of with eyes and
It's a
dangerous.
Dungeons and Dragons meme you can look up. It's called the dread gazebo.
That's awesome.
So you can either encounter monsters, or you could encounter class or race cards, like the wizard, for example.
Oh, okay.
Or you can find curses. So this is one of my favorite curses, which is chicken on your head. Which is basically your character walks through the door, you don't know what you're going to find, and if you find this curse, then if you're wearing the helmet or whatever, which is like on your character, you instantly lose that, and a chicken is sat on your head and won't be removed until you use a card which physically removes curses which affect your head.
I've treated people with that condition. It's very difficult. You have to use lasers and stuff.
It's typically easier to remove them in this game. So the general idea is to get through 10 levels of the dungeon. So every time that you enter a room, if you find a monster, you can choose to fight it. And each monster has their own level. Your player also has its own level. And if the monster you're going up against is a higher level than you can either use items to try and boost your power like temporarily for that round or for that fight, or you can ask people who are also playing to aid you in that battle. So that's where the betray your friend or stab your friends or your buddy sort of comes in, because if you're playing in a group, you can ask somebody to help you, and somebody in that group can also decide to help the monster, either adding another monster to it or raising the monster's level or whatever. And
so whatever it takes
every
to
time
get you ahead, kind of thing.
So as soon as you start getting
like real
closer
life.
to the end level, just like in real life, as soon as you get to the end of the end levels, is when people really start to show their true colors and try to knock you down to lower levels.
Okay. Wow. Okay. How long does it take to play typically?
The last rounds that we did, I think, was like an hour and a half.
Was it? That's not too bad. That's
It's
pretty good.
It depends on how lucky you are with your rolls and the amount of people you're playing with. Because if you're playing with, like, we typically play with 4 people, but obviously if you play with larger groups, then, and especially if the people that you're playing with you don't know as well, like if you bring people in from different groups, then like stabbing your buddy is very prominent.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's cool. I'll have to check that out. I've never seen that game before. Maybe I'll make a little purchase while I'm online here.
Yeah, it's a really cool game.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
about you,
Myself,
Vinz?
I'm a board member of the board gaming community at the company I work for.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. I'm one of the co-founders. The thing we found out was that we have a lot of people from
Now,
all
this
over the
group
world.
does involve more than just you, right?
Yeah.
Your company's like, we've never heard about this before.
It's BOARD, not BORED.
Yeah, you're not bored.
No. So
That's funny.
Well, the thing was that we found out that a lot of like-minded people in our company, most of them are expats, so they are looking for some socializing. They're looking for, some games need more than 4 people, or you need friends, which some people don't have. Which no, it's difficult.
No. That's very fair to say.
Yeah, but also friends that play board games or certain kind of board games. So we have the benefit of being in Europe, where the Euro games are big, like Catan, like Settlers of Catan was a big Euro game, with Ticket to Ride, that kind of stuff. And it started out small, and we had events going every. So basically, we vote every week on the next week. Which day gets the most votes is the day that people will join in the evening after work. We do that to make sure that everybody has a chance to go on a board gaming event once a month or something, to make sure that it's not always on a Thursday or always on a Friday or whatever. So there's some, and also the rule was, I'm not sure if it is still the same, but it cannot be the same day in a row. So sometimes you have a lot more people, you have a lot less people. But the cool thing is, initially we would bring our own stuff to the restaurant, the company restaurant, and we would go after hours and arrange all that kind of stuff. But a few years back, we got some budget to actually purchase games for the community itself.
You mentioned that in one of the other podcasts,
Yeah. It's really cool. So we had some people that used to work for big board gaming companies that have like attics full of obscure games that they could get, or people who backed the Kickstarter for a €600 board game with miniatures that are like artworks and exquisite stuff.
Okay.
And they would purchase that stuff saying, this is really cool, but I don't have anyone to play it with, or it takes a lot of time. So the board game community caters to that. And it got me involved with a lot of people, that play cool games. I found out some really cool games. And we also got a good knack of what games are quick and easy to set up and what games take more time. So whenever people ask for advice for board gaming stuff, we can give a list of easy to, like Munchkin, for example, is a good one. One of the most Dungeons and Dragons branded board games are actually pretty good as standalone games. You don't need to be involved with Dungeons and Dragons. Like, one of the favorite card games I have is called Monster Mayhem, which is a very quick card game you can play. Yeah, and also Lords of Waterdeep is a really good worker placing game. That's really cool. And basically, it's really quick to set up. It's pretty complex, but all the tiles basically say what you can do. So it's very self-explanatory.
Yeah.
And then you have the 1.5 hours are in my opinion rookie numbers, because you have games like Twilight Imperium, and my friends that I play with, well, the guy who owns the actual game, actually spent like a long weekend or even a week sometimes playing with friends, playing board games back to back, like in a house where. But we spent a good Saturday from 9 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock in the evening, or like 12 even, playing one board game called Twilight Imperium, and it's it's a space simulator basically. So you start off with your own civilization, which has their own
I'll
technology.
show some pictures of this here, because you don't have that on you, but I do. I can show it here. Hand check here.
I won't have it on me because it's huge, but it's so in depth, and it's basically every person has their own race, their own technology. You can upgrade stuff. It has diplomacy. It has
this is one of those
objectives.
two where you connect a bunch of tiles. I mean, the game board tiles together, right?
Yeah.
They're kind of octagonal, or
reminds me of Civilization.
Yeah, it's like that on a board game level. It's also like a bit like X, if you know that kind of game, depth-wise at least. So it's really fun, and like especially the end game is really interesting, because all the moving parts finally come together, and at least some person will win.
Right.
So that's really cool.
Share it.
But there are also very in-depth games that emulate a Dungeons & Dragons experience, like Gloomhaven, for example, where the campaign is written out. That's the one.
Yeah. It looks so. Can that be based on its layout? I'm guessing that this is one of the two that you could expand it a lot larger.
Well,
is that true?
It depends on the players. The board size is for 5 players in this one. I believe it goes up to 5 or 6, but you have to take into account that a turn can take a pretty long time. You don't want people idling around the table too often.
Yeah.
Right. That's of course the thing you need to do. So it takes a long time. It takes a long time to set up. It takes a long time to explain. But once you have a group together that knows the dealings, so to say, then it's
you can
really
go on
cool.
for 12 hours.
Yeah. It's really cool. It's really cool. So whenever we plan it in, so you have to plan this. Then we definitely make sure to be able to play with the group.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that one. I've thought about and I kind of want feedback from the audience, and it is from you guys. I mean, my thought has been, even last year, I thought about us doing. I don't know if we can actually call it Dungeons and Dragons, but a type. Basically, still you would have a dungeon master or somebody that would be kind of leading the game, and similar kind of layout. I don't know if you've ever seen Mark Harmon's games that they play. He's the guy that developed the Community and Rick and Morty and things like that. But they actually have a show that they do where they. Sorry. Dan Harmon.
Mark.
Mark Harmon's the guy from NCIS.
But yeah, Mark. Anyway, but it's something along that line. But I was thinking about bringing in a few of our other individuals that we've had on the show before too, and then playing something. I think that'd be fun. I think it'd be entertaining. It'd be entertaining to listen to as well as to watch.
There is a Rick and Morty D&D campaign you can play.
Is that really?
Yeah,
that's
they made a
interesting.
source book. Yeah.
Wow. It doesn't surprise me. He's pretty into that sort of thing. So, yeah, I think it'd be fun. What do you think? Do you want to try it?
Yeah, sure. I'm currently looking for a D&D group to start with. I played an episode of a campaign because it was very brief. With some friends from Austria, and I'm thoroughly looking forward to being invited back because my character was just like the comic relief, like being an arsehole, showing up, doing what he has to do, and then leave. I like the improv aspect of the whole thing too. It's just it's great. Yeah. And I of course grew up in the era. Of course, when I grew up, where I grew up at the time in the United States,
there was a big campaign against Dungeons and Dragons, and there was so much misinformation. Oh yeah, that's exactly what it was. Yes, it was. They literally, like, parents were told that this was the gateway of, like, not only like satanic stuff, but like literally like supposedly we would be. I think Stranger Things kind of played this out pretty well pretty recently. Which is really, that was the era when this happened, early 80s. And so parents were told, if you no matter how good your kid is, they start playing Dungeons and Dragons, next thing you know, they're going to be sacrificing the cats and the neighbor's daughter, and it's going to be a big mess. And
turning them into remote controlled.
And unfortunately, it was something that even at that time did take. There was books you had to. I mean, this was back in the time too, where you had to go to either a comic shop, a model shop, or some bookstores to get half the stuff that you needed to kind of get things rolling. It's not like you could log in online and learn much of this stuff or anything. So it wasn't like we were going to just run out and grab the things. You need somebody that had at least one person that had some of the stuff to be able to knew how to do it. And so and it was nothing on TV you could watch either that told you how to do it. So you had to buy the stuff, and So I came from the era where I was kind of locked out of it partially, but I
have one of the advanced Dungeons and Dragons sets, like the original ones.
Do you really?
Yeah.
The binder books. Did it have the hard binder book that always have the little window in the front? Did you have one of those?
No, I hadn't had those.
Oh yeah.
But it's good stuff. But I mean, I get it. I mean, the stuff that is in there, of course, sounds really pagan and archaic and mysterious, and it always goes wrong in D&D, of course. But I tend, I don't know how, but I tend to flock to some really kitschy names. Like I once played a gold-plated robot called Arngold Schwarzenamber.
Right. Yeah. We talked about. I think that was in the first episode. We talked about that.
Yeah, it's my favorite character. And also now our campaign is coming to an end. We're playing Tomb of Annihilation, and next Saturday we're gonna play the final session face to face.
Oh wow!
And my character is called Owlbearman, which is basically the Bruce Wayne of Baldur's Gate, who is not Batman but Owlbearman. And he died recently, so I have to re-roll a new character for the final. So I'm gonna play an NPC that was tagging along. But that's cool. So I tend to go to 80s action heroes with my characters for some reason. Yeah, which is of course very fun to do. But D&D is great. So I wouldn't mind doing anything like that as well, and I'll be willing to help set it up digitally as well if possible.
It is.
I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think it would look cool.
Yeah, talking about rerolling your character reminds me of a viral video that I saw of a kid, I don't know, like if he was like 11 or 12 or something, playing a game, and he's like his character is the biggest and best, and like he rolls I don't know what it's called in Dungeons and Dragons, but he like a natural one, or he rolls a one, and like his character dies. He modifies his character sheet, and he's the same character but junior, and he's there to avenge his father.
Oh yeah,
so you can reuse. Yeah, you can reuse the same character. That's pretty good. I actually the thing that for my early days, because again it was hard to play with other people. This always brings back to me the old days of what kind of games were those even called? They were like the only video games at the time, actually, the ones where you had to type in the text, and it would say things like, you come upon a forest, and you type in, go into the forest, and then you go into the forest, and then I'd be like, what do you want to do? You look around, and it is dark, and you say, oh no, you type in, I look around, and it would say, it's dark, and then you say, like Zork. Like Zork from the from the show. Yeah, that's exactly the thing that we used to play back then, is a similar thing, but you're by yourself. I mean, there's nobody to play off of. There's nothing else that was fun.
I used to play The Hobbit on MS-DOS that way, which was...
Did you really?
Yeah, it's a really good game.
I take a bird instead of walking.
I spent the next 32 hours walking towards the mountain. But apparently there was some pretty high-tech stuff going on for that time with the game, so it's worth looking into. But it's like it has an internal clock, that if you had to do something before something else, Also, like the trolls, they would turn into stone when it was day, and when it was night, they would attack you. It was really complicated stuff, apparently, for that time. It's a pretty cool game. So if you're looking into that kind of stuff, The Hobbit is a pretty good one. There used to be a game I used to play called The Treasure of Dracula in Dutch. And the cool thing is, especially with those text adventures, is if you push in like swear words and stuff and they recognize it.
I remember that.
They would
catch you on it. It was the other one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And one of the Treasure of Dracula would say that, well, I'm just a small computer and I don't have enough RAM memory to cope with all this abuse.
Yeah.
That's what you would get back if you put in swear words.
Stop pushing me.
Yeah.
I think we should. We're going to explore this a little bit farther. If you guys out there that are listening or watching, if you have a specific game that you think that we might be able to even use, or you got some ideas of what you'd like to see in relation to us doing kind of a live play in for this episode, because I honestly think it would almost play out like a storyline. It would be entertaining to listen to, not just to watch. And so if you're interested in hearing that, let us know. If you've enjoyed this podcast and want more, stay tuned for that. Also, check out our channel and join the community on YouTube that goes by the same name, Your Geek Fix. Be sure to check out Vinz on Twitter at MassiveDMG_ and on his YouTube channel, MassiveDMG. Check out James at Mr. Malto4 on Instagram and on the Replica Prop Forum. We also want to hear from you, so be sure to send your stories, questions, and other projects to yourgeekfix@gmail.com. In the meantime, this has been Your Geek Fix.